Hey everyone, welcome to episode 2 of season 2 of the WuhooPoints podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Dong, talking about different credit cards and credit card strategies. This is Brandon. I met him on Instagram Threads, which I never used last year, and now we're kind of showing up in the same places. Brandon, tell me about yourself. What got you interested in credit cards?
Yeah. So first of all, thank you, Matthew, for inviting me onto the pod. Really nice to meet people in the Threads community. We met like technologically. It's really nice to, just have a face to the name. Met a lot of cool people on that platform, and you're one of them. So really nice to meet you. So yeah, my name is Brandon Wakiji. I go by Brandon N. My friends call me Brandon N. I have a lot of interests, but travel is a huge one. I love seeing new places. I love seeing the world. When I was in college a couple of years ago, I got the chance to study abroad in London,
Mhm.
and I on the weekends I would take trips to various cities in Europe. Like I went to Frankfurt, I went to Barcelona,
That's awesome.
I went to Porto, I went to Munich, Amsterdam, so many places, and that just really ignited and fostered a love of traveling. And I knew I wanted to do that for the rest of my life. And so after college, I moved to LA and started working as a management consultant. And pretty soon I got that itch to travel again. But I was realizing I remember I went on a trip to Istanbul and Vienna and Budapest, and it cost a lot of money. Europe's pricey, Europe's expensive, and I was paying a lot for just flights and accommodations. And I was like, man, like if only there was a way this whole process of booking these things could be
Mhm.
made a lot easier, right? Like because I was just finding like it was just costing a lot of money.
Yep.
And so then I found out about the wonderful world of credit cards and points and miles about 2 years ago, and it just really has changed my life. Honestly, I've been able to go to places that could have never imagined. Like last year, I went to Australia for 3 weeks, got to explore there, and I went there round trip business class on the United Polaris product, and had a wonderful time. Went to Barcelona again, Air France biz class, and just was living dream, living the high life, and just realized, man, like you can be on a flight and like enjoy it and like not never want the flight to end, and that really just sparked and ignited my love of credit cards and points and miles. And here I am, got about 12 credit cards right now, always looking for more. So it's a wonderful world. And once you truly learn about just how valuable and beneficial it can be, once you just insert it into your daily life and your daily spending, I think the rewards are just manifold.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. And those business class flights, right? Most people are paying thousands of dollars for those.
Yeah,
I'm sure you pay like less than $100 for each flight, right? Maybe the tax is a little bit much, but that's it.
absolutely.
Awesome. So what I want to talk about specifically today is the American Express Gold card. I feel like it's very controversial. You love that card. I see Brandon
Yeah.
commenting like, "Gotta get the MX Gold, gotta get the MX Gold." I've had the Amex Gold for almost over 5 years now, and it's good,
Okay.
but I'm considering canceling it for a lot of different reasons we'll get into.
Okay.
So, what I want to set this up for all of you watching is there's going to be a debate. We'll see. We'll see who wins, or if you're convinced to get the Amex Gold or not get it. But first, let's set the stage. For the Amex Gold, the main draw in terms of the points earning is 4x back on dining and 4x back on groceries, I believe up to $25,000. There's also a bunch of credits. So, Brandon, do you want to talk about the credits?
Yeah. So every month that you hold the Amex Gold card, you get certain credits that refresh every single month. The main one people are probably going to know is the Uber credit. So you get $10 that you can use on Uber or Uber Eats refreshes every month. There is also the dining credit. The dining credit is a credit that can be used on certain dining establishments that Amex has designated. One of those is Five Guys, one of those is Cheesecake Factory, one of those is Grubhub, another one is Goldbelly, which is it's essentially a platform for like small businesses and like mom and pop restaurants around the country to ship you their items. For example, I think New York like bagel company is on there. Like, you can get like chocolates from certain places in the Northeast, all
Texas,
around.
like
Uh,
has barbecue places too. Yeah.
yeah. And then I also believe wine.com is a company on there,
Yeah.
pretty self explanatory. So that's the $10 dining credit each month. And a little kind of, I won't call it a hack, but, with Cheesecake Factory and Five Guys, and I believe Goldbelly at least, with that $10 dining credit, say there's a month like you won't know like exactly what you want, you can purchase gift cards at these storefronts and accumulate them every month. And, accumulate that money to use it for like a bigger purchase. So
Yeah.
that's a really great aspect of that credit. And I do that with Cheesecake Factory. I think I have right now like $50 at Cheesecake Factory that I'm going to use on a dinner, one of these days because it's so great, and so that's the dining credit. There's also a $7 Dunkin' credit each month that can be used at Dunkin' Donuts. Pretty similar to that. You can also, if you have the Dunkin' app, you can just load $7 into your Dunkin' app every single month and let
Is
it
that what you
accumulate.
do? Because I feel like there's not a lot of Dunkins in LA, right?
Yeah, that is exactly what I do. Also, something that I do is if there is a storefront that has, Dunkin' and Baskin Robbins, they're partners. And so if there is a storefront that has both a Dunkin' and a Baskin, it can't just be a Baskin Robbins, but it has to be a Dunkin' and a Baskin Robbins. If there's a storefront there, you can actually use that Dunkin' credit to get Baskin Robbins ice cream. So I've done that a lot because the closest Dunkin' store to me is also a Baskin Robbins. And so I love ice cream. Who doesn't? So that's another way I found to just kind of stretch that and just have more options. And the last credit is the restaurant credit. That's semi annually. So I believe the first like part of that is from January to I think it's either like May, June. It's
Yeah.
semi-annual.
Yeah.
So every 6 months you have $50 to use at a Resi restaurant, and you just download the Resi app, and it finds restaurants near your area or wherever you go in the US. If it's a Resi approved restaurant, you just dine there, scan your Amex Gold card, and you get $50 to use there. And I just used it like in December because I was like, oh, I need to use this before the year's up, and so I got it now. I have refreshed come January. So I think that's also just like a really great credit because I got to use it at a local restaurant
Mhm.
that I didn't really like have any, I didn't really know about and probably wouldn't have gone to if I didn't have this card. So I think it's the Resi, like the restaurant credit. It's a really good way to just like find and explore new restaurants there.
Yeah. And I guess a little bit of a hack, similar to the other ones, there is a gift card hack I've heard. I haven't tried this
Yeah.
myself. But for some restaurants, if they're on Toast, you can buy a gift card online and it, does the same thing so you can stack all of that up.
Yeah. I have heard about that. I might try it with this next one. Just knowing that I have more time and everything there. So yeah, I love having like options. So buying the gift cards at these stores is something that I frequently do at the Amex, except the Uber. Like I use Uber pretty much like every week just for my job, going to like
Mhm.
flights for client trips and everything. So it's just using that credit is pretty easy every month.
Yeah. So we talked about all the good stuff about the American Express Gold Card.
Yeah.
Recently, they made a change. It used to
Yeah.
be what, $250 annual,
Uh-huh.
$325. So
Yeah.
I'll do the math on the screen, but basically everything Brandon talked about, if you use everything every single month, it's $424 in credits,
Yeah.
which outweighs the $325 in credits. But that's if you use everything. What are some things that you're seeing, like either in yourself or other people that have the MX Gold card? Are they missing the credits, or do you feel like they're pretty easy to juggle for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, for me, right, it's easy because I love food and I love free food. So I'm gonna make sure I use those credits every month, however I can get them. It's also just in points, in like delving into the points and mile space, I've
Mhm.
become just a lot more aware and just a lot more on top of like, oh, I have deadlines just in terms of like using this credit, using this hotel credit or doing something like that. So I'm always on top of that. But I do know just from other data points and other people that have this card, right? it can be just sometimes you don't remember, oh, hey, like I've got the Dunkin' credit this month that I need to use. All of these credits, if you don't do the gift card thing, it's use it or lose it. So, you don't, if come February, come next month, if you don't use that Uber credit, it's gone because a new one is going to go there in its place. So yes, you do kind of have to discipline yourself to remember, hey, I need to use these credits every month. But someone like me, I budget really well. I make sure I know where all of my money is going every month. These knowing I have these credits to offset the costs, like I'm on top of that every single month.
Gotcha. All right, but you said an interesting word where you said it's free food. See,
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessarily free, it's prepaid. So the
Okay.
question really is, you talked about, I'm calling you out here
Yeah.
with your permission, but the $50 Resi credit you used in December, you never would have went to that restaurant. Does
Yeah.
that mean you never would have eaten out there? Are you spending more money by doing these things? I'll give an example from my end. For the $10 dining credit, we just use Grubhub just because that's the easiest pick up and order. There is a Cheesecake Factory somewhat close by, but I don't want to go through the hassle of finding parking, going in and getting the gift card. But on Grubhub, like DoorDash, Uber, they're all inflating the prices. So like
Yeah.
I don't consider even the $10 credit $10. It's really like $8. And if you do delivery, it's even less.
Yeah.
I don't feel like these credits are really worth their dollar value. So I want you to respond to that.
Yeah, I think okay. I think first and foremost, like with in terms of the credits, like it works for me just because my lifestyle before I had the Amex Gold, I was eating out here and there. On the weekends, I just tried to be remember like during the week I try and be a little bit more conscious just about cooking my own food. But hey, sometimes I get lazy. Like I'm a 24-year-old single guy. Like I eat out pretty often, especially if I'm traveling, whether it's for work or like leisure or anything. Like I'm going to be eating out. So I feel like the credits work pretty well in my lifestyle because I was just using them to buy food that I would have bought at a certain time
Mhm.
anyway, you know? And that's something that I think people need to consider when getting this card is like, like I ate Dunkin', I ate Five Guys, like I ate at Cheesecake Factory before I got this card. Like,
Yeah.
I had those credits. And so like I consumed at those restaurants before I use this card. Not very often, but even so, yeah, I'd say I went to those places like once a month, once every couple of months. I think the card just gave me a lattice to do that, and it gave me a lattice to just really have those credits and not have to worry about paying. And I think because of that, I've saved some money in the front end. But I will say, like in the first year at least, like all of these things about like the credits and everything is pretty moot because in that first year, right, you're just chasing the signing bonus. You're just
Yeah,
chasing that sign up
that's true.
bonus to pad your Amex points balance. And so, I was lucky enough to find a friend with a referral for 100K, which I think
Nice.
is like
I got
only
the
a
70K.
yeah, only a few select people have that like 100K referral. And I think like currently like the that promotion is like it's as high as 100, so it changes for everyone. So I was
Yeah,
able to find someone with 100K. So even this first year, I'm not even really thinking about, oh, are the credits even worth it for me, because
that's
I'm
fair.
getting the sign up bonus for $325. So I'm getting 100,000 Amex points for $325, which is going to the value of which is redeemable for two business class flights, with the transfer bonus, or multiple economy flights. So the first year, I'm not even thinking about that. But even so, I visit those restaurants pretty frequently. And so it just makes sense to why not just pay the 325 up front and get those credits so I can ensure I save money in a sense, right?
Yeah.
By just using those credits.
And at least now with the update, if you do use all the credits, you do gain that extra almost $100 in value. And it sounds like you've done the math. I think that's a key thing for everyone watching, right? Like whatever card you get, whether it's the Amex Gold or something else, do the math. Doesn't make sense. As Brandon said, he went to these restaurants, so it's not like he's just adding lifestyle creep. Although we love ice cream as well, but maybe we shouldn't be going every month. I don't know. But yeah, that's a lifestyle decision for other people. All right, so I'm probably going to I'm leaning towards canceling the American Express Gold card for me when it comes time in May.
Yeah.
For me, like we talked, I do use the credits, right? I force myself to use the credits, but even my Dunkin' Donuts credits, like I've just been loading the app because I just never go to Dunkin' Donuts. Like, so let's see if I can pull it up over here. As I said, I don't Uber that much, so it's Uber Eats and Grubhub, and we talked about how they're inflated. The Resi credit, I think my wife and I, we do go to nice restaurants for date night, so it does make sense. But again, I'm always wary. Is it making me, go to more restaurants? So you can just, I don't know if my screen will show up, but it's like says still $49 because I've just
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
and like I have other American Express cards where I can get those points. And then I think the kicker, unlike other people, I have the OG Capital One Saver card, which gives
okay.
4x back on dining and groceries with no annual fee. Right. So like the 4x back for Amex points is a little bit of a draw. I love Amex points, but for me, like it's Capital One miles, Amex miles, are pretty much the same.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think? Should I keep it? Is it still worth the money? What could change my mind?
Yeah, I mean, I will say, I think in a lot of things, right? Your relative situation and like where you are just kind of matters, right? So in terms of me, like I had when I started like points in my part of this points and miles journey 2 years ago and really started like travel hacking in a sense. I hit chase pretty hard, right? Like I hit the sapphire preferred, then I went to the inks. I got like three ink preferreds. I got
Nice.
an ink unlimited, I got an ink cash, and I also got a Capital One Venture X as well. And so that allowed me to really diversify just like my points and my miles. And so what happened was I hit ink jail. And so Chase said, we're not giving you any more Chase ink cards, no more Chase business cards. And so where I was at in my points and miles journey, I didn't have a card that was giving me 4x on that was giving me a good multiplier
Yeah,
on groceries. I did have the Chase Sapphire Preferred. I was getting 3x because I used online grocery, like my local grocery store. I scanned like the app, and that
mhm,
gives you 3 times points on Chase
yeah.
Preferred. But yeah, but I did know that Amex Gold had 4x on supermarkets and groceries, and I also knew at this stage of my life, like food is my biggest expense, just at this
Yeah,
outside of like the typical rent and like car payments and whatever. Like food is my biggest week to week expense, as I'll call
yeah,
it. Like I spend the most money every week on food because my body needs food, and so it made sense for me at that point to get the Amex Gold, right? But I'll also say, right, because I have that card, I know you have the Capital One Saver card. That card is going to be very high on my list right now because in getting that Amex, I'm at 324 in terms of that Chase 524 count,
mhm,
right? So I need to choose my next two cards that are going to fill up this
yeah.
524
Pretty
space
wisely, yeah.
very wisely. And so Saver, while it's a really great card with no annual fee, that's always awesome. It doesn't really have a great sign up bonus. And when I'm looking at 524 count, all those cards they need to have a great sign up bonus. And so that's how I know that the Saver card isn't really in my immediate future, just in this points and miles world. So I needed to prioritize the Amex Gold to have a good card that would get me good money on restaurants and groceries, just food, just flat out food, knowing that's a great expense,
Yeah,
and
and it's
knowing
simple.
where I'm at.
Yeah,
And I am considering, because the Capital One rules state you can get, it's like 6 months between cards. I'm also considering just getting a venture. I have the Venture X, right? But I could get a venture card and just have
bonus.
both cards for the sign up bonuses. And so that's also some calculus that I'm kind of going into. So
Yeah,
I'm saying, I say this just to say, like, it made sense for me where I'm at in my points and miles journey to pick up this Amex Gold card, to know I have something that gets me good points and miles on food. And I also know that I'll be keeping for the foreseeable future, right? And one thing that also kind of entices me to keep this card is Amex pop-up jail, right? I know like canceling any kind of Amex card is going to increase your risk of pop-up jail.
that's
They
right.
never
Explain what a pop-up jail is to some people.
Yeah. So pop up jail is this idea when you apply for an Amex card. A really good thing is whenever you apply for a card, it initiates a hard inquiry on your credit report. So what that means is it's going to show up on your credit report that the bank had to pull your credit files, and that's a hard inquiry. Typically results in like a temporary score drop
Yeah.
in a hard inquiry, even if you're approved or denied, no matter whether you're approved or denied. The good thing about Amex is whenever you fill out an application for a card, before they actually initiate that hard inquiry, they let you know if you're eligible for the sign up bonus. And of course, like knowing if you're eligible for the sign up bonuses or not is a
That's
really big reason why people apply for these cards, right? Especially if you're in points and miles. And so the cool thing that Amex does is that they're going to let you know before they actually initiate the hard inquiry if you're eligible or not for the sign up bonus. And if you get a pop up, it's like a white screen that kind of says, based off your history and your credit history and like your history with American Express, you are not eligible for the sign up bonus on the American Express card. That's known as pop up jail, and it can be very frustrating just because there's really no rhyme or reason to why people get this pop up jail, right? Like I know some friends that have have multiple Amex Golds because of no lifetime language offers, which means that you can get multiple of the same Amex card. They've never been in pop up jail. I have a friend who got an Amex Biz Gold card, and then he canceled that card, and he tried to apply for an Amex Gold, and now he gets pop up. Now he gets pop up jail on any Amex card, and so it can be really frustrating. It can be so frustrating for people because you don't know what really gets you out of Amex pop up jail. But
point.
we do know just from DPs and Amex as a company is that they really value relationships, right? They don't American Express does not want people doing what we do, like credit card churning. They don't like that. They hate that because they want people to foster long-term relationships with the bank, of course, because it's mutually beneficial for both you and for Amex. They want people to foster long-term relationships. So they really look down upon people canceling cards immediately after a year because they know that, okay, their system or whatever algorithm they use, it sends signals that, okay, this person is probably just credit card churning. And so you always run into that risk whenever you want to cancel an Amex card after a year. And so it's really recommended that, whenever you get an Amex card, make sure that it's a card that you'd be pretty comfortable using for the rest of your life, especially because Amex has lifetime language on all of their cards, which means that you can only get one Amex card once for the rest of your life, unless you get a no lifetime language offer, which is targeted, which means that you can get multiple of the same cards. So it's just,
sorry to interrupt you. Though I've heard lifetime actually means 7 years. So in theory,
oh, okay.
if I cancel my Amex Gold, wait 7 years,
Uh-huh.
lifetime might be over. I'm not sure. I've seen some data points. I haven't confirmed this. Maybe I'll see that. Maybe then I would be eligible for the Amex Gold bonus again. So
okay, I actually did not know that. That's okay. I learned something new today.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No. I was finishing up, but yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of canceling cards with any bank is always just going to be something that they're not going to like because that's one less customer, that's one less revenue stream. But Amex, just from what we've seen and what we've kind of seen from the stories and the data points, they really look down upon people canceling their cards because it looks to them that you just got that card for the sign up bonus, which of course, we did.
It was a good card for the past few years, but you make a very good point because I also have two Amex Business Platinums. I know I'm canceling them after the first year. So if I'm canceling 3 Amex cards in 1 year, that's a good point to why I should potentially keep the gold. Another reason why I might keep it though is I've gotten retention offers every other year.
Yeah.
So last year I got one. So this year I'm anticipating I won't get one. But if I do get one, obviously I'll keep the card. But that's another thing, right? I'll have to pay the full $325, get no bonus for it. So I guess retention offers are one way to kind of keep the card, get good bonuses. Outside of the main Amex Gold perks, what are some other things you've used that you found useful from just having an Amex card in general?
Yeah, I think Amex just like customer service is really great, right? Like whenever I have any kind of issue with like whether that's fraud or somebody a charge that I don't recognize, like Amex is pretty good just about getting on it and finding someone to reach. Um, of course, we've also got the travel partners. Amex travel partners are really awesome. I mean, there's just a whole breadth of travel partners there, especially domestically, right? You have to pay the excess, like the tax, right? To transfer to domestic partners, but Delta in particular, I fly a lot of Delta, so just it's great to have that option to know I can transfer it to a domestic partner, which a
Yeah.
lot of banks don't really have unless you know how to like look up flights on partners and whatnot.
Yeah.
Um, I think one also there's Rakuten, right? There's that
Mm.
Rakuten. Rakuten's great. If anyone doesn't know what that is, Rakuten is a shopping app where you can get cash back for shopping at many famous brands like Target, CVS, Best Buy, Nordstrom, all of those, Macy's, etc. But with if you hold an Amex card that earns Amex rewards points, you can actually, instead of cash back, you can get miles. So for example, I went to CVS, it was 10% cash back.
Yeah.
And I spent like, I want to say I spent like 40 bucks there and I got 4,000 Amex points, and it's really easy to just stack these up, like just stack them, especially if you're someone, especially around Christmas time. I've seen like crazy stories of people getting like near 75,000 points at Christmas time from buying all these gifts and using Rakuten. So I think that's like a really big competitive advantage that Amex has,
That's
the
true.
ability to get these use Rakuten to get extra points, because all of these banks, whether it's like Citi, Chase, they have like shopping portals in a sense, but they don't have something like Rakuten where you can get like points on top of points
Hmm.
for doing shopping that you were doing anyway. So I really love Rakuten. I really love that aspect of using Rakuten to get Amex points. And then lastly, I'll also mention that with the Amex Gold, you also get four times points on booking flights directly with an airline. And so I know that's a perk on many cards outside of banks, but again, just gives you more options, especially if you're working on the sign up bonus and have travel planned. It gives you really that option to really stack up Amex points, and that's what I just really love about it. Customer service is great. I think the
Yeah.
membership rewards program is really good, and if you're really on it, it gives you chances to really stack.
Yeah. One stack I heard is someone buying Dell stuff. So this is for Amex Platinum Business. They
Okay.
have a Dell credit. But then there's also Amex offers. So they have the Rakuten at 50%. Then they also have a Dell Amex offer that's, I don't know, $15 back after $100. So they're actually
Yeah.
making money by making their.
Oh,
So Amex offers another great perk, right? There's just extra coupons. Hopefully, it's not making you spend more money, but if you could add it to what you're already spending, like what we talked about, you get even more value. Cool. So we only have a few minutes left. One just fun question I have for you is a lot of people just like Amex cards. We've seen this on threads. People just
yeah.
want Amex cards for the cultural icon because it's a
Yeah.
metal card, because it's rose gold, white gold, whatever.
Yeah.
Do you think it's worth it? And do people should people get this card just because of the cultural icon coolness factor?
No. I mean, I'll say that straight up. Like, as someone who monitors my finances, like I'm just every dollar I spend, like I want to know like what it goes to.
Mm,
I knew about Amex. I knew about it when I started this hobby. I only got it because it made sense as where I'm at in this points and miles hobby. I think it's really important not to get caught up in like the cloud of credit cards, because credit cards, when not used responsibly, you and I both know are a very
yep.
dangerous thing that can get you in a lot of trouble. And with Amex especially, I think it's really important to keep in mind that family rule, right? With their personal charge cards, which is you can only go in the family to get sign up bonuses. So Amex Green, Amex Gold, Amex Platinum.
Yep.
Personally, I skipped Amex Green.
Same.
I believe you did too, just because I didn't find that sign up bonus really worth taking up a Chase 524 slot. But yeah, I only got Amex because it made sense for where I was at in my lifestyle and where I was at with just in my points and miles journey. These cards, they're not cheap, right? Amex Gold, used to be 250, now it's 325. Amex Platinum 695. The Biz Gold, I think it's 375. Platinum around like 695 or
Yep.
something.
Yep.
So these are not cheap cards, and I know personally I don't like spending money. If I don't like spending money if I know
You don't
I'm
want to
going to
just
get
spend it to
value.
flash it around.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. I spend my money. I spend my money intentionally to get
Mhm.
value out of things, and
That's
so
great.
that's why I got this Amex Gold card, just because I know the value that I get out of this card is going to be way more than that 325 that I paid for it. I'm already seeing about like 6 months, coming up on like 6 months into this card. Like I've already gotten way back from that 325. But I
Mm.
don't know. I don't really understand people getting like Amex cards just because they think Amex is like cool.
Yeah.
It's also like, if you go abroad, like, many merchants don't accept
Yeah.
Amex. So that's something that you have to keep in mind. And no, but like I'd never do that. And I don't really understand why people do that.
That's a final good point. No foreign transaction fees on MS Gold is also helpful for
Yeah.
international restaurants. All right. How or should people follow you on any socials that you want to shout out? Any last words you have for our audience?
Yeah. First off, I just want to say, like, something I want to reiterate that I know too is, like, in getting into this like points and miles game and signing up for credit cards, the biggest thing is like really make sure that you're in a place financially where
Mm-hmm.
you can do it, right? Like, people say it's like free travel and people say it's like all heavily discounted and it's free. Yeah, it is once you use those points and once you understand how to use them.
Mm-hmm.
But like there's still a price to pay, just in terms of like, signing up for these cards. They have annual fees and everything there. Like, this is very much still a pay to play game. Like, you can't be like in serious debt, or you can't have like $0 in the bank wanting to do points and miles and just sign up for these cards and get these flights. No. So just really make sure that you have a good understanding of your finances before you do anything there. But yeah, my name is Brandon McKees. You can find me on Instagram at
I get
I
it. Post
I
it, in
yeah.
video.
I'm underscore Brandon N. Also on Twitter at Brandon underscore Wakiji. But yeah, I love this points and miles stuff, and I just love talking about it because I know it's really changed my life. It's really changed everything for me for the better. I know this year especially, I have some really exciting trips planned. I'm going to Bangkok,
Awesome.
Seoul, Vietnam, Southeast Asia for the first time, and also planning on going to Eastern Europe for a spell too. And I would never be able to do this if I didn't have credit card points.
Dude, that's such a solid way to end it. Thank you so much for being on my podcast.